At this very moment, on Monday, Donald Trump will be taking the oath of office for the second time, and he just announced that the inauguration will be moved indoors because of the extremely cold temperatures expected here in Washington on Monday. Again, the president-elect just confirming what CNN's Elena Treen and Caitlin Collins reported just a short while ago. Elena, you are with me now for these developments. We have a very lengthy social media post that he released explaining his decision.
That's right. I'll just read for you some of what he wrote, because as you mentioned, it is pretty lengthy, Dana. Donald Trump just moments ago posted, quote, "I have ordered the inauguration address, in addition to prayers and other speeches, to be delivered in the United States Capitol Rotunda, as was used by Ronald Reagan in 1985, also because of very cold weather. The various dignitaries and guests will be brought into the Capitol. This will be a very beautiful experience for all, and especially for the large TV audience." Now, look, Dana, when I was talking to some of Donald Trump's advisors, people who have been familiar with this decision, of course, this is because of the dangerously cold temperatures that are expected on Monday. And I'm saying dangerously cold because, remember, I mean, you know this, we have covered many inaugurations. Thousands and thousands of people were expected to come and stand on the National Mall for hours at a time to watch Donald Trump being sworn in publicly. They recognize that this was a major health risk to many of these people. But I will also say that Donald Trump wants the inauguration to be this global event. He has invited world leaders, some of whom are expected to come and attend that swearing in, and as well as other, major leaders from big business and tech companies. And so this was definitely, I think, something that has been disappointing for them. They were not anticipating this, but again, they have made the decision to move the inauguration indoors inside the Capitol Rotunda. One thing as well, just that I want to note, is there are questions and discussions that are still underway about what to do about some of the other festivities, including the inaugural parade. I'm told that they are having some discussions about potentially moving some of that into the Capital One Arena, though that is not final, just something that they are discussing, and also having conversations about what to do about crowd size. So all that is still under discussion, but Donald Trump and J.D. Vance will be sworn in on Monday inside the Capitol Rotunda, not outside, as is tradition. Dana?
Yeah, and Elena, we literally just got this seconds before coming on air. Towards the end of this lengthy statement, the president-elect does talk about the Capital One Arena, where they're going to have an event ahead of time, but he does say that they're going to have viewing there for the people who came in from all around the world for this, and also to host the presidential parade. Will join the crowd at Capital One. It's a little bit vague, so I'm sure that they're all still trying to figure this out as they make these really big, drastic changes after months and months and months of focusing on the Capitol and, of course, on the traditional parade. Thank you so much. Terrific reporting, as always.
Thank you, Dana.
Thanks, Elena. And I have some excellent reporters here at the table. John Bresnahan of Punchbowl News, Molly Ball from the Wall Street Journal, Priscilla Alvarez, and Evan Perez from CNN. 10 degrees, that's going to be the wind chill. That's according to the latest forecast. And look, the fact of the matter is, he's not wrong. It would have been extremely dangerous to be outside for a lot of people. It would have been uncomfortable for him. It would have been uncomfortable for all of the VIPs out there. And yet, this is one of the reasons that people who don't really love Donald Trump, and in the past, when Joe Biden was being sworn in, and Democrats before him, people who didn't love that president, they come, is because this is a spectacle intended to tell the world about America, which is why people are reluctant to make these moves. The last time it happened was 1985, Ronald Reagan's second inaugural. I think we have video of it, which we'll play as you talk.
Well, I mean, I think one of the things that you saw today, and I was out there with, the crazy runners that are on the mall.
Wait, you went running this morning?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well, that's a discussion after the show.
Right, exactly. Mental health.
It's very cold.
But, right. I mean, you could see that the workers were still setting up the chairs, and the fencing is up. And it's not just the cold. I mean, there's still a lot of snow and ice that is left over from the snowstorm 2 weeks ago. And so it is a rather unsafe place. If you are visiting from outside and are not used to that, it is a very a treacherous thing. Look, you and I were there for the Obama inauguration in 2009, and you remember how crazy that was, how cold it was. And that probably should have been moved indoors as well, but the conditions in this case are even worse, not only the cold, but the snow and ice that are still on the ground.
And more to come on Sunday as well.
Right.
Now that we're...
One thing is, Capital One Arena is right on 7th Street, so it's not far. It's only a couple blocks from the parade route. So it's in the zone, it's in the security zone, but they hate changing things like this.
And it's huge.
And
The security aspect.
The security aspect of this, they hate changing this at the last minute, because that's when things get missed. And unfortunately there were attempts on Donald Trump's life, there are threats all the time now. So, but I think just having Capital One Arena there gives them a little, just because it's so close and it's not far from the White House and it's not far from the Capitol, not far from the parade route, I think that gives them a little bit of comfort.
And as we were getting this news, this is obviously the president-elect's moment. As I mentioned, obviously it's a moment for the country, but there is an inaugural committee that has been impaneled and has been working on this for a very long time, which includes top members of the United States Senate and House, I believe, right?
Yeah, both sides.
Yeah, both sides.
Democratic and Republican.
And so as we were hearing this news, I was communicating with somebody on the Hill who's involved in this, and the response was, this is the president-elect's decision. We will do whatever he wants.
Yeah, it's his day. We all remember in 2017, the biggest crowd in the history of the world, which it wasn't because we were there for Obama, which was the biggest crowd I've ever seen. But, look, if Trump wants to do it this way, he's the Secret Service and everyone else, the Defense Department, everybody else involved, FBI, DHS, everybody else involved in what is a major security and diplomatic and political event will go along, and that's what he wants.
There's also kind of an interesting political season bookend here, because raise your hand if you were in Iowa.
I was just thinking that.
In January of
Yeah.
2024.
A high of 20 below.
It was,
caucuses.
I've never seen or felt or...
I've never been that cold in my life.
And by the way,
And I'm from Colorado.
and neither had Iowans. Neither had Iowans. So you start the political season with votes in and around at extreme frigid temperatures in Iowa and end it with temperatures so cold that Trump has to move the inauguration inside.
Right. And this is still Trump's moment, and no one can take that away from him. It's hard not to see it as a metaphor of sorts for the things that are out of the president-elect's control, right? The best laid, you can have the best laid plans, you can have a completely elegant inauguration plan, but Mother Nature has a say as well. And I think that's going to be the theme of the Trump presidency in his second term. He has done much more planning. He is much more focused coming into his second term than he was the first time around, but events are going to dictate the course of this presidency, and more to the point, his ability to adapt to events, and whether he's able to be flexible and be cheerful about it, right? We don't know how he is feeling about this behind the scenes, if he's upset about it, if he's grumpy that his plans have been disrupted, that he won't get that scene of the giant crowd who have come in for the rally the night before, as well as the inauguration itself. We know he wanted those pictures. So in his second term, has he matured to the point where he can roll with events like this, roll with the punches, so to speak, and direct things in a way that he's not annoyed about it?
Those are all such good points, that this is an example of what happens on a minute-by-minute basis when you're president of the United States. You want to do X, but then Y happens. It's kind of like being in the news business. But just on the note of the crowd sizes, because that was his obsession in the first few days. Now it's literally day one. But it's literally a non-issue now. It takes that off the table. Which is not nothing when you're Donald Trump.
Although he very well may note who does come out for the parade or to the arena. I'm sure that we will get some taste of how he feels about who is in attendance of all of these events. I do want to note, though, from our colleague Betsy Klein, that the White House has weighed in on this as well. President Biden and the First Lady, according to a White House official, will be attending, whether it was inside or outside. This was before the confirmation came from the president-elect that it would be inside. Speaking to your point about VIPs and all of the people people who are coming, and already it's been a who's who of who is going to come of the formers. So certainly, just wanted to note that we're getting that, so we'll see the president there.
The one thing that the world will be robbed of is the Bernie Sanders hat and mittens again, which is a shame. But maybe he'll wear them inside. I don't know.